All right, ladies and gentlemen, it is safe to say that I may be getting canceled. If you're all familiar with the channel, you would all know that I uploaded a react the other day to Soros's video about how Infinity Nikki is going down, right? About how it's the worst gacha update ever made. What were the execs thinking? And I made a video reacting to that called Infinity Nikki is officially dead. And boy, oh boy, you might be able to tell from some of the context clues when it comes to this bar over here. A lot of people didn't like this video. And this is the thing. I want to talk about it because the dislike ratio that you're seeing on this screen over here, it's like a 742 to 269. That doesn't look too bad, right? Oh, 70-something%. Maybe it ruffled a couple of feathers. Maybe it ruffled a lot of feathers, but it's not telling the whole story because boy, oh boy, that number is not accurate. Let's go ahead and take a look at what the real actual values are for this one. That's the video over here. Infinity Nikki is officially dead. Boom. I don't know how much of this is bots. I don't know how much of this, how much of these downvotes are going to be cleared up in the next day as YouTube sort of just like removes them from like mass downvotes, mass brigades. But boy, oh boy, is a 52.5% in less than 1 day. Pretty crazy, especially when the average on my channel is about a 94%. And so what I wanted to do was talk about all these comments that we're seeing over here, because boy, oh boy, are there a lot. So let's take a little bit of time to actually do that. Is that your worst yet? No, I think I had a ZZZ one that was at 30%, but that ZZZ one that's at like 30 or 40%, but that's because that one was linked on Reddit. So let's go ahead. Let's take a look at some of the takes that a lot of these commenters are having. And then let's actually, I know this is going to be odd, but let's actually rewatch our video to see whether or not any of these takes actually hold water. Let's see if any of these takes actually hold water, because a very common thing that happens on YouTube, and a lot of the reasons for why somebody curates their comment section is very simple. Somebody will post a comment that's absolutely not true. But what will happen is that people will see this comment that's not true, not watch the entire video, and then begin mass disliking, putting their own comments in place that align with the popular one, even if it's not actually what's going on. And so a lot of creators, they'll curate their section. I didn't do any of it at all because I thought that the situation was fucking hilarious. And, I'm not like other creators where a 52% dislike ratio is going to get me to, delete my video. Yeah, that's not really something that I do. It's not something that I'm particularly scared of. And I wanted to take some time to actually talk about it and see whether or not these claims being made are very valid at all. So let's just go ahead. Let's look at the top comments. They're going to start off pretty tame and then get a little bit crazier from there. Honestly, there's nothing wrong with a simple storyline. Not every gacha story needs to be some epic save the world from the Demon King or stop the apocalypse kind of thing. Very, very tame, right? I simply said that the basis of Infinity Nikki's story, to me, wasn't something that was very palatable, right? The idea that I'm going to accumulate power from dressing up and like beat bosses when I like outstyle them, that sort of stuff. That's the summary that I received from my chat, and we received a lot of validation as well, so that's what I went with. Yeah, that to me wasn't a story that sounded like pretty crazy or pretty rooted. And so the Infinity Nikki devs, what they did was they retconned their story to have a different intro in a different setting. And I was like, you know what? Based off of what I've heard of the initial story, I'm not surprised that the retcon was done. Clearly, somebody made the decision to do that. So, very fair comment right off the bat. The update deserved to be shit on, not the fans, Saint. So, clearly, people are implying that I shit on the fans, I shit on the people playing the game the entire video. Pretty much everyone who likes this game call it out, so I don't know what they did to deserve such an insult. So, now I've insulted the players. Let's keep going. I'm glad I'm not the only one who felt he was mocking the players of Infinity Nikki the whole time. Normally like this guy's content, good to put for background noise when I'm studying and such, but this one felt like he was just shitting on players who want to play a gacha that isn't very combat focused. Keep this in mind. We're gonna see a comment like this multiple times. I normally like this guy's content, but this video was just too much. Let's see how many times we see comments like that. I don't like to comment, but this video rubbed me the wrong way. I usually like Saint's content. in these types of vids, but the main goal was to react to the issues this creator was talking about and give a take, and he did that. But throughout the vid, it came off as shaming and dismissive. So that's the second comment that's super highly upvoted, saying, yeah, I usually like this guy's stuff, but this one was just not okay. I enjoy Saint's content, specifically for Woo-Wah, and I was all for supporting him when he started defending himself against people who sought to drag him down. In general, he usually has great takes and is rational, but that was not seen in this video. That's the third one. It was unpleasant to see how condescending he was towards a game with a fan base that did nothing to warrant that behavior or reaction. Well, guess what, guys? You're doing quite a bit to warrant the reaction that you're gonna get from this one. Saint, I'm a fan of you, but this video is just unnecessarily negative. We get that this game isn't for you, but there's no need to continue shitting on Nikki and its fans. It was a successful game and has a fan base, but you haven't played it, so you don't know if it truly is bad. That's another one. The most disgusting thing in this vid is not bad Nikki dev, but Saint always tries to ridicule the idea of dress-up games at its setting. Of course, Infinity Nikki is not for him, not for many of us. Still, we could have variety games without putting them down. All because I said, I think the story is a little bit bad. Let's keep going. Dude, WTF was the misogyny and patronizing necessary. I don't play this game, but mocking it and its player base is wild as a CC, disrespectful, dismissive, and condescending at best. And the only reason being that it's geared towards girly girls, not me. I don't know why we felt the need to defend ourselves of the gacha space as if it makes it somehow valid and their concerns a joke. This is exactly why companies like Kuro refers to listen to women in its player base and make more men. It's this level of misogyny that does not allow for women to feel welcome in the community. What a bad look on you, Satan, and how disappointing. So, do keep in mind, we will be watching the first half of this vid to, take a look at some of these crazy claims. I don't play this game, but from this vid, I think Saint is letting all the clout that he's getting get to his head. I won't be even surprised if one day you become a Mr. Pokey yourself. If I was Mr. Pokey, I'd delete this video. Somebody writes an essay over here. Oh, I think YouTube doesn't even let me look at it. Yeah, no, this person wrote an essay and then I guess edited it out. This is quite the first time I've ever downvoted one of your video, but your childish reactions are unsufferable. Your childish spelling is insufferable, my friend. Rare L. Tauntus. No one held you at gunpoint to make this video. If you're going to do this in bad faith and make belittling comments about the fanbase of Infinity Nikki, you could have just ignored this like you've been doing. Yeah, I made a video about I made a reaction to a vid that currently has 500,000 views. Yeah, I think a lot of people do that. Yeah, I think that's a normal thing for content creators. Yeah, we got the content police, we got the tone police, we got the misogynist police too, I guess. You can clearly see that this comment section is absolutely absurd. A lot of people that 1,000,000% don't actually regularly watch my content are now cosplaying as people that do. I usually really like your videos, but why are you being so edgy and dismissive of Infinity Nikki players? If you're only going to make fun of players and their concerns, why talk about this situation? Yep, that's another one. I'm happy I saw how you were and unfollowed you beforehand. You never followed me in the first place. Shut up, dumbass. I normally enjoy your videos, but this video is like complete dog shit. You come off so dismissive and negative to the game just because it's not for you. You're gonna notice that all of these comments that are saying, I usually like, they're all saying the same exact thing. They're literally all saying the same exact thing, but in a slightly different reordering. I don't know if it's a bot brigade. On this channel, one comment. Do you really enjoy my videos? Wait, how about over here? On this channel, 2 comments. 8 years. I usually enjoy your videos. 2 comments. This is maybe one of the first real people, but maybe their account got hacked. But yeah, you can clearly see that's quite a bit of 1 comment Andes. Quite a bit of 2 comment Andes that are going ahead. I don't like to comment, but this video rubbed me the wrong way. Yeah, okay. Yep, I guess you're right. You never really do comment. Yeah, quite a bit of stuff going on over here, isn't it? A lot of people that are unfamiliar with my channel going ahead and making claims like this. So why don't we put our money where our mouth is? We've been called a misogynist. There are a couple comments calling me a homophobe. A lot of people saying that I'm mocking and dismissing. Why don't we just just react to our vid once again, ladies and gentlemen, and validate whether any of those claims are actually true. Because that's a lot of accusations getting hurled around. Let's get right on into it, guys. Right, ladies and gentlemen, I think it's time for us to talk about the elephant in the room when it comes to the gacha space. And that is, of course, the absurd downfall of Infinity Blicky. Because boy, oh boy, I've heard a lot of people talking about how this game is now in the gutter because the Infinity Nikki execs apparently got into a car accident or something the other day and suffered immense brain damage with all of the updates that they've made to the game. And it looks like, with this video by Sorosness at around 420k views, it looks like my take on this video and my take on this react is that it's fucking hilarious. I think it's fucking hilarious. And this is the thing. I feel like there are a lot of people that were either severely misled by the comment section, or they were taking out their anger from Infinity Nikki's downfall on me because I made a couple of jokes about the game and said I didn't like I didn't like the summary of the story that I was told. That's genuinely what it seems like. The entire player base of Infinity Nikki also agrees. So with that, let's go ahead, let's give it a look, because she's portioned it out. She looks like she's a player that's actively actually gone in and experienced the game. The only other person that I know in the content creation space that actually has played this is Yango. And I don't think we need to know what Yango thinks about the matter.
One of my favorite games managed to destroy its
Maybe it's Yango fans. Maybe Yango sent bots after me.
goodwill in the space of just a few days.
She's part of the CC program too? Not anymore.
While the rest of the gacha space is forever on
Okay, that was funny as well. Let's turn up the speed a little bit.
fire for various reasons, Infinity Nikki had been an oasis of calm. It was never going to last, since these games tend to start off with a bang to attract new players and then slowly degrade over time, but
She sounds mad, bro. She just sounds mad, bro.
a mere 5-month-long honeymoon period was far shorter than anyone would have guessed. If you think the state of Wuwa, Genshin, Star Rail, or any of the others has been bad, Infinity Nikki right now makes all those other situations look kinda chill.
Damn, even with HSR and spending event and like Amphorius being the most dogshit story in the history of gacha gaming and like the entire game just becoming more and more predatory and like you need the new units to do anything, like it's worse than that? Oh boy, those are some bold claims. Those are some bold fucking claims for her to make. How bad could one patch be?
Some might argue that it's bad to highlight this whole thing, but I think that's short-sighted. I love this game, and I want it to thrive. And for that to happen, Involved needs to hear the concerns of their players. The more people who are aware of it, the better. Before we get into the details, let's give a little context for anyone unfamiliar. Infinity Nikki is an open-world dress-up gacha game. Unlike the other open-world gachas, it has very basic combat, and instead, its focus is on cozy exploration in an absolutely incredible open world, puzzles which range from relaxing to challenging, and very in-depth clothing and fashion systems.
Yeah, I don't know if that one's for me, dog. I just straight up say it at the start of the video. Yeah, this one's not for me, dog. I don't even hear anything. I hear a synopsis of what to do in the game, and I just say it's not for me, dog.
Don't pull for characters or weapons. You pull for dresses, hats, jackets, skirts, jeans. You get the idea. It has a story, and the setup was appropriately whimsical. It started with Nikki and her companion Momo
Instead of 5-star limited units, you got 5-star limited shoes.
searching for clothes in her attic.
Did that offend somebody? Was there something wrong with that?
She finds one of her mother's dresses, but it comes to life and pulls the two of them into a portal in a cupboard. They wake up in an alternate universe where clothes have magical powers and people with a sense of style are respected and revered. This was very Narnia-coded, and it perfectly set the tone right from the opening scene.
I'm sorry, I'm listening to a summary of the story again, and it's making me laugh again. She got psyched into a magical closet with her cat thing, and then got transported into a world where clothes have magical... It's just goofy, bro.
Everything about the game was chill, beautiful, and just an absolute delight to spend your time in. While I am a sucker for exciting combat and love games which have more of a focus on that kind of gameplay, I enjoy other
I'm sorry, I can't like stop laughing just hearing about the premise. Motherfucker found her mom's magical dress and got sucked into a portal?
types of games just as much, and Nikki was basically made for me. I didn't have time to make a review when it first came out, and while it's been near
Dad, who here plays Infinity Nikki? Type 1 if you play Infinity Nikki. Nah, y'all lying. My daughter plays it. Okay, that fair enough. All right, chat. If you typed 1, what's the main character's name? That question was probably too easy.
At the top of my to-do list ever since, other more pressing things kept coming first. In terms of genre, I'd actually say it's closest to the legendary 3D platformers of old. It echoes Spyro in particular. I've had so much fun with the platforming mechanics, and the boss fights in particular feel like an evolution of those ideas which have been left untouched by exploration games for far too long. The story did a fantastic job of remaining light-hearted and whimsical, while still diving into darker themes with surprising levels of nuance. It wasn't the height of storytelling, but it still managed to stand out and seemed to trust the audience more than other gachas. And I absolutely loved the dress-up side of things. I have spent countless hours playing The Sims, and I always get sucked into clothing customization in any game. Back when I played Red Dead Online, I happily spent half an hour at a time in the dressing room before actually going out to shoot some cowboys.
So this is the legendary gamer that plays a game for 100 hours, but then 80 of them are spent in character creation. Was that offensive? I think that's just a funny joke, to be honest. Hey, whatever floats your boat, right, boys? And I guess girls.
Clothes in Nikki are absolutely stunning, with a level of detail and craft to them which is legitimately breathtaking at times, and they're actually relevant to the gameplay. I often want a game which will help me just relax, and Nikki was perfect for that. It's also worth noting why I generally had higher expectations for Infold than I do for other developers. Their founder looked at the games being published and saw that there was a gap. None.
I guess what this proves is that I guess even girls like playing games where the girls are pretty. I thought, and I think this is where people are calling me a misogynist and an incel for this take over here. Let's hear it out. Based off the modern audience, I thought, didn't people, isn't that why Concord released? Because they thought that everyone wanted to just play ugly women? Oh, but the girls want to play pretty girls too. Why in the United States, in the West, are they making all the women ugly? They're so ugly. You could go to any college in the United States, and nobody will be as ugly as the woman in those games that they're releasing nowadays.
Of the other companies seem to think about what kinds of games would appeal to women in particular. That's an entire half of the potential market which was being mostly ignored. And that isn't to say this game is just for women, or that women don't like all kinds of games, but
Yeah, they're for gay dudes too. It's for gay dudes too.
there was a huge
Or like you're either a gay dude or you're like one of the most gooner people on the planet. Is that homophobic? Because I think that's the only time I mentioned gay dudes in the video. Kinda. To say that Infinity Nikki is also for gay dudes. You're calling that homophobic. Like, if you're playing Infinity Nikki to goon, I'm gonna be real, man. Like, that's crazy. I'm gonna be honest, that's crazy. If you're doing it for that, that's wild. That's like, if anything, I'm making more fun of gooners than anybody else referenced in this video. I literally have an entire segment saying that you are a freak if you goon to Infinity Nikki. That is the only audience that I have offended at this point. And people are making all these claims that I'm misogynistic, homophobic, and shitting on Infinity Nikki players when it's 7 minutes into the vid and all I've done is shit on gooners who actually play games like Wuthering Waves, ZZZ, Genshin Impact, the audience that I mainly address. Yeah, I'm mostly insulting them. That's a lot.
Huge gap in the market for exactly this sort of game. And he was humble enough to recognize that the best people to design games to appeal to women would be women themselves. And he built his company with that in mind. To the point that right now, over 70% of the employees at the company are women. This was a logical and calculated strategy, and it worked. I still expected them to act like any corporation. Their gachas do have a reputation for being on the predatory side after all, likely because they don't really have much competition. But since its founder was able to look past his bias and apply rational, objective logic to the state of the industry at large in order
People are upset about your demeaning behavior towards a game that isn't your cup of tea. How is that so hard to understand? Where's the demeaning behavior been? Oh, I said Infinity Nikki was also made for gay dudes? That's what you call demeaning behavior? Where's the demeaning behavior? Bro left chat? Yeah, I wonder why.
In order to find a niche which was underserved, I kinda expected the company to continue to be more rational and objective than average. So...
Oh, just because they were women?
You thought you'd be safe? You thought you'd be safe from the greed of culture just because the executive team had women on it? Well, looks like the opposite is what took place. I think...
I'm not gonna say it, but it is a little bit ironic, right? That they make up this team, it's like 70% woman, and then also this game then proceeds to do like the dumbest shit possible. I'm not saying it was them that was involved. I'm just saying it's kind of like that's like not really a good look for like this type of composition in the future. I'm just trying to be entirely real. That's like not a good look for like this type of like team composition in the future. Were people calling this misogynistic? Listen to what I say. Yeah, it's almost like greed has nothing to do with gender. Agree. If anything, the initial claims being made were misandrist. Let's be honest here. Implying that men are greedier than women and that having a woman exec team would have mean that they make better decisions, that's actually misandrist. And so I'm just making a claim, or I'm just saying, yeah, greed actually transcends gender. And so maybe gender has nothing to do with it. And people are calling that misogynistic. These guys are so stupid, the people commenting, I don't want to say guys, because maybe that'll be misogynistic too. The people commenting are so fucking stupid, it's unbelievable. Greed. There might have been one executive, male executive, that was responsible for making all this happen. I even say it right here. There might have been one male executive that was responsible for making all of this happen. But like, after like advertising that it was like this this entire like woman team and then this shit happens. Oh, fuck. We're two steps forward, 20 steps back.
Well, what happened?
That's not misogynistic at all. That was quite possibly one of the least misogynistic point of views you could have had on the situation.
As an appetizer, before the main course, we got a little preview of what was to come a few weeks before the update dropped. Infold announced that they would give everyone 10 free pulls if the game reached 100,000 wishlists on Steam, plus an extra surprise for 200,000 wishlists. Once they reached the goal, they tried to change their minds and sent out only 2 pulls for the 100k, with the 10 pulls saved for the higher target and the surprise forgotten completely. But
that was the surprise. Yeah, the surprise was that they were lying. No, the surprise was not forgotten. The surprise is that they were fucking you. That's hilarious, bro. No, that is a surprise. They weren't lying. They did surprise you.
But this change made the community
Where am I shitting on the community? We are 10 minutes into this 41-minute video. Where am I shitting on the community and saying that Infinity Nikki players are like stupid? We're a fourth of the way through.
incredibly angry. The backlash quickly made them backtrack and give out 20 pulls for the combined goals instead.
Okay.
Devs listened, I guess.
Not bad, not bad.
The version 1.5 update was released at the end of April 2025, a little less than 5 months after the initial release, and
90% didn't even make it this far. That's the thing, right? That's why I said all that stuff about why CCs curate their comment section. Because you'll end up with people that don't even watch the video. We're 10 minutes in. There are none of these claims that people are talking about. They don't exist. But there are mass upvoting comments saying that I'm going ahead and I'm shitting on the community instead of on the devs. When literally all I've done for the first 10 minutes is say, this game really isn't for me, and I shit on the devs. That's actually all I do in the first 10 minutes. I shit on the devs. I say they got into a car accident and had brain damage when they were making these changes. I say that this is 2 steps forward, 20 steps back, based off the updates that they made. And people are saying, all this guy is doing is just shitting on the players. This is a case study of top comments, ladies and gentlemen. That's what happens when you leave top comments up that are full of absolute idiots. Just so you know, that are just lying. Because then people will see those lies, see that they're top upvoted, and then comment without even watching the video. That's just how it is, unfortunately. Oh boy, we've got somebody over here who's desperately trying to get into a girl's pants that will not actually talk to them unless they do this. All right, some of your comments were made in an incel-y way. Why do you think I just said what I just said? Especially when you go so hard on the female dev team. Huh? I literally said, this is just a bad look. It maybe was a male exec that like fucked shit up, but it's not a great look for a female dev team or a female exec team to have this sort of bad thing happen to them. It's not a good perception of female dev teams. Especially when it's it's supposed to be one of the first of its kind. You're so stupid, it's unbelievable. You're so soy, it's unbelievable. Jesus Christ. Like, that's literally not... Okay, let's read the rest. And you demeanor when talking about dressing up pretty girls. TLDR, it's not really what you said, but how you said it. Stop being a pussy. Get out of my chat.
One thing, this update would see the game release on Steam, making it accessible to a whole new audience.
I know one game that released on Steam and is doing pretty damn well. 87% positive? And I'm just glazing woo-wah here. It's a straight line. That is so consistent, it's unbelievable. Damn, that's looking good. No, I just glazed woo-wah here. Number 51 on a platform that has probably almost, like, how many games does it have? I think that's pretty good.
In addition, it was going to be a truly major update. The brand new co-op mode looked like it would be a ton of fun. A new miracle outfit was coming out, kind of similar to an Archon or Sentinel in terms of importance, but always available for free. We were getting extra colors for 4- and 5-star outfits, and the devs were touting it as a big optimization update for mobile users in particular.
Wait, this sounds like an amazing patch. What do you mean? Why was this patch negatively received? Like, y'all got like a free outfit that's supposed to be like this is like getting getting a Farina, a Mavawika for free? How?
The new feature I was most excited for was the ability to dye outfits. Up until now, most outfits in the game came in 2 to 4 different colors, and you obtained those different colors by pulling duplicates via the gacha system. The dye system had been trialed in an event in a previous patch, and it provides so much flexibility by letting us recolor any individual item to any of dozens of different colors. It's hard to emphasize to outsiders how awesome that idea is.
Cool. That's what people are offended about? This video is just funny. All this video is it's just funny.
Half of the fun of the game comes from the joy of creating outfits, and having exponentially more swatches at our fingertips would unlock so much creativity. Unfortunately, the moment we opened the game after the update, we were all confronted by something completely unexpected. A retcon which rendered the entirety of the original story pointless. New players and veterans alike were shoved into a new intro tutorial the moment they opened the game, which clumsily introduced an unfamiliar goddess who tells Nikki that she's actually an amnesiac space traveler and her world has been destroyed.
I'm sorry, did they just not tell anybody this was gonna happen? Was this... So, I'm making fun of the devs again, saying that they're stupid for not announcing this. Maybe this was because they reached 200k. Maybe this was the surprise. I joke about their 200k wishlist goal. Maybe if they didn't reach 200k wishlist on Steam, this part would never have happened. Damn, that's crazy. Amnesiac space traveler whose world got destroyed from Nikki finds her mom's dress in a closet and gets sucked into a magical world. Damn, that's crazy.
And of course, everything the original players saw in that OG opening sequence was just wiped from her memory. Worse, the replacement story was disjointed and awkward. It fails to ground itself in anything relatable, it does a poor job of introducing Nikki and her sidekick, and it just fundamentally fails at giving us any reason to care.
Why is Bubblegum Melania Blade of fucking Michaela doing over here? Am I the only one that thinks that? This literally just looks like Bubblegum Melania. She inflicts you with the popcorn rot. We're 14 minutes into the video. What has been offensive? Where have I insulted the players? Genuinely. She inflicts you with the candy corn rot.
Reason to care. The destruction of the world, which she no longer remembers, doesn't even matter at all because stuff like that now just happens all the time. Nikki is immortal, and at any point she can just peace out and go to a fresh universe, so literally everything now feels empty and pointless. This is a perfect example of an age-old trap in storytelling. People think that the wider scope and higher stakes will make for a more impactful story, but humans struggle to emotionally connect to large concepts like the world is at risk, and instead feel far more emotion towards individuals whose story is relatable. We struggle to visualize the suffering of thousands of people, but the moment we hear just one story, it puts everything into a context we can instinctively understand.
From what I heard about the Infinity Nikki story before was that you were just walking around doing random shit for like no reason. Or was there a reason for like what you were doing in Nikki before? No, pull me up. All right, looks like we have. Then I pull up a player who actually played the game for 3 months. Have a proven Infinity Nikki player who's ready to break down. Are you a snake? What's going on over here? Are you like a lizard? The story is solving the wishes that are fake. The people in the world are basically being scammed to do fake wishes. Why is this the first time I'm hearing about this? And Nikki has to solve them for them by unlocking outfits and outstyling. Chat, is this real? Am I getting punked? Yeah, it is, Unk. Trust. It's actually true? My perspective. That sounds like one of the dumbest stories I've ever fucking heard. Is this what they were offended by? I got that synopsis and then said that's one of the dumbest stories I ever heard. It's like one of the dumbest things I've ever heard. So, I don't know if I find it surprising that they wanted to retcon it.
Oh, Nikki, if you go ahead and you wear the most stylish and the bestest outfits ever, you'll be able to save everybody from the fake wishes.
The styling is also the boss. I'm sorry. I mean, now that I've heard the premise, and everyone's agreed universally that this is the premise, I don't know if I can blame the devs for changing this shit, because it sounds fucking stupid.
I wish people...
And clearly, the devs themselves thought it was dumb as fuck too, because they changed it. So, it's not even like my opinion is like some forbidden one, because they retconned this, they literally retconned the story. We are now almost at the halfway point. Let's see where the player base insulting happens. And believe me when I say, the average retention rate of the viewers, we've already passed it. We've already passed the average retention rate.
People would learn this lesson. It even falls flat as a tutorial. The original opening sequence steadily introduced the core gameplay mechanics in a way which felt natural, logical, and tightly integrated into the narrative. The new one is objectively worse. The new opening sequence is at least visually stunning, but...
So, the new story is objectively worse than a game where you save people from making fake wishes by having style.
But even the graphics are a little glitchy at times with some very obvious clipping, and in the end, the vast majority of fans just despise the fact that it exists. And just think about the idea of a retcon for a minute.
These were the same fans that liked that original premise, though. I mean, I'm not trying to insult nobody here. This would be like somebody saying that watching paint dry was one of the best media they've ever seen. And so I don't know how much weight you can put into that criticism. That's just me, though.
Whether you play Genshin, Wuwa, Star Rail, or anything else, how would you feel if you...
That could be considered an insult, sure. It's mostly a joke, though, because that story, from what I understood about it, doesn't sound that crazy to me. Is that it? Was that the one thing that people wrote and upvoted like 400 comments about?
You got invested in the story over the course of several months, and then the devs suddenly said, sorry.
Because I compared Infinity Nikki's original story to watching paint dry.
We're telling a different story now, and none of that stuff you cared about really happened.
Well, I think the framing's a little bit different when the original story was that. Like, this would be like Wuwa if the original premise was like, I'm trying to think about what sort of equivalent would like make sense in Wuwa. Okay, I know. This would be like Wuwa where the original premise is like collecting as many echoes as possible. And to beat Thronodians, you stack all of your echoes up on top of like a giant Jenga tower, and then once it reaches a certain height, the Thronodian explodes. Like, that would be, like, it would be like that being retconned, and I don't think I would be that upset by that. Because that sounds stupid. Like, I think most people, I would think that maybe it would be okay for that to be retconned.
Even people who were only half interested would probably be upset, and the people who actually liked it would be devastated. And they didn't even announce that anything like this was coming. I had always loved the gentle absurdity of Nikki waking up in this land where clothes have magical powers, and taking it upon herself to solve this crazy apocalypse plaguing the world. The game had this beautiful, ethereal quality. The story, the landscapes, the magic, even the light and floaty way that Nikki moves. The whole thing felt like a dream. The retcon's main purpose...
A dream or a drug? Hey, they both start with DR. I think she got the vocabulary confused there for a second.
It seems to be to introduce the idea of alternate universes so that the
Was that considered offensive?
multiplayer system fits in the lore of the world. It's bizarre that they felt the need to do that in the first place. Co-op doesn't need to be canon. But if they really insist, everyone and their mother's dog understands the idea of alternate universes in any sci-fi or fantasy. It doesn't need an explanation. Or if they had just leaned into the dream aspect as the explanation, then literally nobody would have cared. In a dream, anything goes. It may have had a deeper motivation, however. Some have noted that they no longer market the game as cozy, and may instead have hoped to bring in a wider audience.
Okay, so I see a lot of people saying that they made this entire update, this retcon to the story, to provide a canon reason for co-op. I think that the new story just offered a canon reason for co-op. I don't think that's why they did it, because again, the original premise sounds retarded. What do you want me to say? It's we have so many fake wishes. Please generate so much style so that the wishes can no longer. What do you mean, man? What does that mean, bro?
If that's the truth, then whoever made that
The only thing I'm actually insulting here is the story, the original premise, the story that got retconned, that no longer exists.
decision just flat out made a huge mistake. Many in the community legitimately want the devs to roll back the update. If they don't, I would be unsurprised if the game loses so many players that it prematurely reaches end of service.
Well, I guess this is the thing. You have to factor in that you spent 5 months building up this entire player base off of whatever the fuck that story was. And so you have built up a player base that liked that, despite the criticisms that I do have for it. That's why I don't play Infinity Nikki. I mean, I'm literally just saying this is just my opinion on it. That's a reason why I don't play it. There are a lot of reasons why I don't play it, but the story probably would have been a big reason for why I wouldn't play it either. But yeah, you have a lot of people that are going in and enjoying that and experiencing it. And so taking that away from them, right, is like, think about it this way. There is somebody in the world that will like eat this and then tell you it's good. Is this misogynistic and hating on the players for making a joke about somebody's food that they posted on Twitter? We're 21 minutes into the video, and this is what people are saying is like unacceptable, the worst video I've ever seen. This is the biggest L that you've ever made, Saint. This is just absolutely insane. This is you're being an incel right here. We seen 21 minutes of the video. I made a joke about Infinity Nikki's story being like paint drying. And then I also made a joke about British food. Or I don't even think this counts as British food. This is like somebody just putting a bunch of random shit into a pot and cooking it. Most people are gonna look, it's just made by a British person. I don't think it's related. Look at this and think this is the most disgusting thing they've ever fucking seen on God's green earth. But there are some people that like this, right? And they want to keep eating this, and they enjoy this. And just because they happen to have tastes that are considered a violation of the Geneva Convention, that doesn't mean, you know, that it was made for them. It was made. This is something that they like. And so, you know, it's just, they can continue liking it. This is what people are calling super insulting, super degrading.
That was just the beginning. This update also unleashed a biblical plague of bugs into the game.
It doesn't look that bad. If that doesn't look that bad to you, if you ever end up homeless, it might be better to just go to jail instead.
Up until now, it had been impressively stable. Despite the incredible level of detail, especially when it came to the clothes, the game was smooth and reliable. And the worst I personally experienced was the rotation controls in the camera mode being broken for a few weeks one time. Some people had their in-game photos wiped at one point, but for the most
And yes, I'm talking about the food there. Because I don't think you can play Infinity Nikki in prison. I'm clearly talking about the food because whatever Captain Cabinet's made doesn't look very good.
part, it
To me, at least.
was a solid launch. After 1.5, a huge chunk of players couldn't even log into the game, and many are still
And
unable
guess
to a
what?
week after the
We just start talking about the dev stuff from here on out.
since it's completely unskippable. It's like a punch in the gut. The poor devs have been working hard to fix the issues, and the game has become noticeably rare and currently not farmable. You get them as a reward for certain events.
You want to know what also sucks? Trying to buy outfits and trying to have a lot of outfits in real life if you're free to play there too. Hey, I guess that's one thing that's pretty one-to-one. Now we're just talking about gotcha. Yeah. Guys, this is the thing. This was just a funny video. It's legitimately, I think, one of the funniest videos that I actually have on my channel. I'm being entirely honest. I think this was an absolute banger. I don't apologize for anything that I said over here. It's just funny. However, I do think that the video at this point just got massively brigaded. I compared Infinity Nikki's story, the original one, to paint drying. I then proceeded to also say and make an analogy about, hey, some people might have liked this story that I don't really like. Other people like things that I don't like too. I don't think you should take away from what people like. That is the other thing that I said. Those are like the only two things that could be attributed to players, and people are just going in. Again, we can read this comment section. It's absolutely fucking crazy. I'm shitting on the fans by saying that. I'm mocking the players the whole time. I normally like this guy's content. 2 comments on the channel. And the only ones on this channel that are comments is on just this video. I think that this is just an active brigade, ladies and gentlemen. I think it's pretty clear by now. Nobody actually watched this fucking video. There was one comment that got upvoted when it comes to this situation, and then people are just latching onto it. 1,000,000%. All of these claims being made, misogynistic, homophobic, shitting on the players, insulting them. If you think that's what's actually happening, just unsubscribe to me now, you fucking pussy. You know it's not true. You'll just believe random shit in a comment section just because it happens to have a lot of updudes on it and not recognize that it's not actually true because you didn't watch the fucking video. Your ADHD is too strong for you to make it through even half of the video. Because then you would see that none of this shit is true at all. None of the shit that you're reading. And so this is why, ladies and gentlemen, I'm using this video as a staging ground to show you all why content creators actually need to curate their comment section. They need to delete comments. They need to block users. Because you'll have absolute freaks like this saying that they're a fan of your content, but this is just unacceptable. This is the most ridiculous thing I've seen. They didn't even watch the video. They never actually watched any of my videos. And they're just saying shit that isn't true about the content to try to rile every other person that's coming to this one. And boy, oh boy, clearly, ladies and gentlemen, it worked. It worked. But this is the thing. I think Infinity Nikki is going to die. I think that even if I did upset any of its remaining player base, it's not particularly a problem. And so that's why I didn't really care that much in the first place about curating this ridiculously fucking abominable wasteland of a comment section, because I don't really think it matters that much. And so you can all take this as proof that there are nothing but complete freaks brigading at this moment in time for, frankly, I don't know whatever reason they could possibly have. Let this be a lesson. Let this be almost like a case study of the amount of dumb shit that you'll be seeing about content creators on a rather daily basis. A lot of it just straight up isn't true. And so yes, I got canceled. 1,000,000% I got canceled. But if people are unsubscribing to me, saying that they're not going to watch my content because of this, I didn't want those dumb motherfuckers anyways. They're literally too stupid to build a community around. You don't want people that dumb watching your stuff anyways. So with that, let me know what you all thought about this in-depth deep dive breakdown. You can validate and watch the video yourself to see if I'm just lying, but that's why I decided to play half of it and actually react alongside myself, so that there wasn't really that much room to keep spewing all this bullshit. Let me know what you all think. Peace.